if you have that kind of relationship with your college counselor. I know, teachers and counselors are usually off during the summers, but if you have that level of relationship with them, I would say to use them. They may be very knowledgeable about certain parts. And also, there's always Google. Just type in whatever the issue is, Google it, and usually you'll be able to find it out. Or there's an answer on the school's website somewhere if you use the search tool on the school's website.
Yes, thank you for that. I would say yes, read everything. I promise you, as a college administrator, we put a lot of stuff in our information, in our emails, in our packets, and there's nothing worse than getting a question that I know I answered in that email. So before you call somebody, make sure you did your due diligence in looking up the information. And then if you still feel like it's confusing, go ahead and ask whoever you need to speak to.
Yeah. All right. So now we'll transition. You followed all the tips that Isabel just gave you. You stepped on, at least you're moving through the summer at a good pace. So in addition to being accepted and having enrollment steps to complete, I also want to make sure we talk about just the mindset of things that you need to think of to be prepared to persist once you're on campus. And of course, there's a million things I could touch on, but I'm going to touch on at least things that as a high school senior, as a graduating senior, you can be working on this summer. And so the first, I think, is defining what your passion is. And when I think about passion, the first is, why are you going to college? You want to kind of ground yourself in what is your purpose for going to college? And you want to make sure that why is something that is strong and not superficial. If it takes you a while to kind of answer that question, you should really take some time to sit down and think about, like, why am I going to college? What larger purpose does it serve? For some students, it could be to put their families in a better financial situation. It could be if you're a first generation student, to kind of show or be the first in your family to really show that college graduation is something that's possible, and that could really be big to trying to change the dynamics of your family. For other students, it could be they have really ambitious career goals, and so college is one of the first steps to achieving that. And so it could be different things for different people. I know for me, college was really just like a next step. It was like, okay, the thing that you do after you graduate high school is go to college. So at first, I really didn't have a larger purpose for wanting to go to college, other than it was just the thing that was always expected of me. But kind of as I got through college, as I experienced different things, I learned that for me, college was more about having an impact and developing skills that would help me after I graduate. And so I think that's the first step. The second piece of the passion is you got to find out what brings you joy. What makes you happy, whether that be a hobby, different subjects that either you learned really easily, you picked up really quickly, or you just genuinely enjoyed it. You want to find out what types of things bring you joy and happiness. And you don't want to necessarily connect your career only to money. Making money is important. You want to be making enough to, of course, support yourself. And if you hope to have a family one day, so help to support your family. But that was a huge road bump for me. Speed bump for me was just thinking solely about the money. Really not solely about the money, but I was thinking about, well, I'm good at biology. I like science, and I like working with kids. I did a lot of volunteer work with elementary school students and high school. And then that last piece was, I want to make a lot of money. So what deals with science, works with kids, and makes a lot of money? A doctor. I'll be a pediatrician. That's what I'll do. And what I quickly found out is that even though I really liked biology, I hated chemistry. I really didn't like chemistry labs. I was always that student that even if I followed the directions exactly, my stuff will come out purple while everybody else's stuff is green. And so I was never really good at chemistry. Math wasn't my strongest subject, so physics, I always struggled a lot with physics in high school. And as a pre-med major, you definitely have a lot of biology and chemistry and a little bit of physics. So I struggled a lot with that first year, that freshman and sophomore biology, actually, and chemistry. Because even though I liked biology, I still struggled a lot with the lab portion of it. And when you're in college, you have the lecture and the lab connected. And so I would push any student right now to think about what it is that you really enjoy. What would you not mind doing for free? And then connect that to a career and a purpose. So the purpose is the second piece. And so for me, it was after figuring out that being a doctor is not what I wanted to do, I changed my major to education. And I still wanted to impact kids, but the way I wanted to impact them was educationally. And first as a mentor. I wanted to be a mentor to high school kids. And I never had a teacher in high school who I really connected with on that level. I wanted to be that for students. And so you want to find out whatever major you're choosing, what is your purpose? What do you want to achieve? What is the larger impact that you want to have? And sometimes that takes some time to sit down and think about, well, what are the things you want to achieve in your career? And so, like I said, for me, it was just to connect with kids and make sure that they had a teacher that they could come to and talk to about anything. I think the last piece of this, and these are all kind of intertwined, is if you're struggling to decide what your major or career should be, you need to get your feet wet now. You have a few months in between now and the beginning of the semester. If you're going out of state, you still have a couple of months to pretty much get your feet wet. I would say first, the easiest way to do that is to interview people. I would say interview people in that career path that are in different stages of their career. So somebody that's maybe just getting in 1 to 2 years, 3 to 5 years in, and somebody that's been in the game 8 to 10 years. How do you get connected with those people? You may have businesses, or if you're a doctor, if you want to be a doctor, hospitals that are near you. If you want to be an educator, of course, you were in high school, so talk to some of your teachers. But just pretty much reach out. You could just do a Google search and find some local businesses or local professionals that you might be able to reach out to. I would say that's a good place to start. Of course, there's probably some kind of internship in your city or area that you can take advantage of. But I will also say just shadowing somebody for a day could be good too, just to kind of see what the day-to-day is. Another piece of when I wanted to be a doctor that I really didn't think that much about because I was only focused on the money was that you got to be comfortable around blood if you're a doctor. And that's something I kind of get a little antsy at the sight of my own blood. And so that was something I didn't really think about a lot. Another piece is I waited until my junior year to kind of get an internship experience. So I volunteered at Children's Hospital, and it was a rewarding experience, but I was placed in the cancer ward. So a lot of these children were diagnosed with terminally ill cancers. And so even though it was rewarding getting to talk to them and being able to, have fun with them and really get to be a bright spot in their day and not worry about the bad parts of what they had to go through, every day I kind of went home kind of thinking about, could I do this every day of my life? And so that was something that I knew if a kid or a child was to die and I was the doctor, that would be something mentally I wouldn't be able to deal with. And so that's why I chose education. So, that last piece of advice is to get your feet wet, because you may find out the parts of the job that you don't like and you can't see yourself doing every day. That's not to say you necessarily have to change careers. You might be able to stay in the same industry, but you may want to change what role you serve in that career. So I would say definitely take this summer to figure out what's your passion, because not everybody has had the same high school experiences and had the opportunity to get involved in a bunch of extracurriculars. Just take time to find and learn more about what it is you want to do for the rest of your life. And if you don't know, that's okay. You don't have to, at some schools, you don't have to declare a major right out the gate. You can be general studies, but take that time to do those things and figure out what it is you want to do, and understand that can change at any point. You don't want it to change too often, but if it does, that's okay too. So that would be most of the advice I would give.
And just to add to that,